Morning, how are you? Morning, man. How are you, brother?
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, folks, good morning, and thanks for joining us. This is LNTV, and we're live here from the grounds of the Executive Mansion, precisely at the tea house of the Executive Mansion, where members of President Boakai's cabinet are arriving this morning for a cabinet meeting. The president has invited members of his cabinet to sit this morning and hold discussions on key national issues. We've been told that this meeting is an economic meeting, and so it's obvious that several issues concerning the country's economy or the country's development will be brought forth here at the Executive Mansion, here at this cabinet meeting that His Excellency President Boakai has called for so far. And so in that direction, we've seen ministers like the Minister of Finance and Development Planning arriving here this morning at the Executive Mansion. We've also seen the Governor of the Central Bank arriving. We've seen the Director of the Civil Service Agency, Director General Josiah Jokai. We also saw the LPRC boss and several other public officials who are arriving this morning. Minister of Education, Madam Jaso Jala, the Minister of Defense is also here at the tea house of the Executive Mansion to grace this very important cabinet meeting. And so any moment from now, this meeting will resume or will start effectively because we've seen a reasonable number of public officials who have arrived already for this cabinet meeting here at the grounds of the Executive Mansion. President Boakai himself is yet to arrive, but come to think of it, the Executive Mansion is the official workplace of the president, so it's obvious His Excellency the President is already in office this morning, while members of his cabinet are arriving to hold key discussions on several national issues here at the Executive Mansion. So, like I said, we've seen the arrival of several government officials, including the Minister of Finance, the Governor of the Central Bank, the Director General of the Civil Service Agency. We've seen the Minister of Defense, Minister of Education. We've also seen the Managing Director of LPRC and several public officials who are arriving here this morning for this cabinet meeting. So my name is Anthony Williams. I'm going to be here with my teammates to bring you all of the details as it relates to this cabinet meeting. Stick and stay with us while I run you through some of the discussions that are expected to be held this morning here at the tea house of the Executive Mansion for this special cabinet meeting that President Boakai has called for. Keep following us. Thank you very much. So, folks, keep following. Speaking of some of the discussions that might be held at this cabinet meeting, we already seen the arrival of some of the ministers as they are coming gradually. I see from afar the Minister of Transport. It appears to be him, somewhere from beyond. We also see right ahead of us here the protocol from the President's office, Chief of Protocol from the President's office, probably making arrangements. It appears we might see the arrival of His Excellency the President any moment from now. So, but just before that, we can run you through on some of the discussions that might be held at this cabinet meeting, just to assume, but we're being told that this is obviously an economic meeting, so President Boakai might be discussing key issues pertinent to his government, the economy of the country, Liberia's development, talking about connection with partners, speaking of trade and other important issues. So keep watching LNTV and ELPC radio also for more of the details on this cabinet meeting. Also, come to think of it, the government of Liberia also is mourning the passing of the Minister of State, Minister Grace Bay, who passed while in the U.S. And so discussions on probably funeral arrangements and other issues might be discussed here in this cabinet meeting. But typically, this meeting might focus on discussions and decisions related to the country's economy. Given that President Boakai is holding such meeting here, the nature of this meeting might be also to review economic performance. Speaking of assessment of current macroeconomic indicators, the country's GDP growth, speaking of inflation, unemployment, currency stability, and also review of government revenues and expenditures under budget execution. So those could be several other issues that might be discussed as it relates to this cabinet meeting. Also, there could also be discussions on policy planning and coordination. Speaking of discussions on fiscal policies, taxation, government spending, we could also be talking about monetary policy coordination, through the central banks. These type of discussions are often independent coordination, which may be needed also. So, President Boakai is yet to arrive, but members of his cabinet are arriving gradually here at the tea house of the executive mansion, and they are being ushered in by state security also. So we just trying to preempt some of the discussions that might be held, looking at the nature of this meeting, since we are being told that it's an economic meeting. Investment and private sector growth could also be some of the issues that might be talked about at this meeting here at the tea house of the executive mansion. Speaking of strategies to attract foreign direct investment, like they call the FDIs, we could also be talking about measures to support domestic businesses and entrepreneurship, or improving entrepreneurs, young businesses in Liberia. Some of these discussions might be held. The Minister of Finance is here, the central bank governor is here, so it's obvious some of those discussions could be discussed. Like, speaking of development, we could also be talking about infrastructure projects that support economic development. Come to think of it, the government of Liberia has got several projects that are ongoing, and President Boakai might be wanting to know about some of these projects, how far they are, what government needs to do to probably speed some of them up, and so forth. You can name it. We could also be talking about international economic engagement. Come to think of it, this could be lined up with preparation for talks with international leaders. Like, Liberia is in discussions with the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank. Recently MCC Compact agreement was passed for the country, targeting millions of dollars, that will be pumped in the country's economy. So these discussions could also be tied. This cabinet meeting could also be tied in that direction. So for those of you who are watching, thanks for watching and keep following. Any moment from now, the meeting will be here. We're seeing members of the press. They're already here gearing up, setting up their gadgets also to bring this meeting live to you on your various television channels and radio channels. But LNTV is here to also bring you these discussions live here on national television, as President Boakai holds a special cabinet meeting with members of his cabinet. We're still here at the grounds of the executive mansion, and we're just trying to preempt some of the discussions that might be held. We've not been fully informed what will be discussed in the cabinet meeting, but based on the nature of the meeting, especially with the ministers who are arriving here, one could point out that these key points that I'm pointing out could be some of the ones that will be brought up, like I was speaking about Liberia's connection or preparation for talks with international leaders, like the IMF, the World Bank. We'll also review, the meeting could also be reviewing some aid programs like grants or trade agreements. Some of these discussions can be held as far as the meeting might be concerned. You could also be looking at sector-specific economic strategies. For those of you who are economists, you obviously know what I'm talking about. This meeting will also focus on discussions on key sectors such as agriculture, mining and natural resources, manufacturing, culture and tourism, the energy sector. Key discussions of this nature could be some of the points that will be struck or talked about. So for some of the ministers who are typically attending this particular cabinet meeting, I need some of them. You heard their names: the Minister of Finance, Commerce and Trade ministers, all of these ministers are here. So the central bank governor is also here. So I mean, basically this meeting is just likely aimed at shaping or adjusting national strategies, national strategies to boost economic growth and also ensure stability and improve the welfare of the population. And so if President Boakai is convening this meeting this early in this term, it may send a signal, for a strong focus on economic reform and accountability. But I mean, those are just a summary, or we're just trying to preempt what we think might be discussed at this meeting this morning. So we can talk to any of the ministers who are arriving, but come to think of it, we are hoping that the Minister of Information, Minister Jared Leme Matthew Pia, will obviously might be at this meeting. We might want to hear from him, and he might brief us on some of the discussions that will be held at this meeting. We will not live stream the entire meeting to you, obviously, but basically we will just be taken in to the tea house once the president does the introduction, does the opening statement and all of that, and then the press will be ushered out while the cabinet meeting will be held indoors. But right after that, we might also be called in to carry out the concluding discussions of the meeting, or you can call it the closing of the meeting. So once that is done, then we might have the opportunity to also talk to the Minister of Information, Cultural Affairs and Tourism, Minister Gerald Matthew Pia, who will obviously be here, though he's yet to arrive for this cabinet meeting. So thanks for watching and thanks for following us. You can stay with us. Once the meeting starts, we'll go in there and we'll show you, or we'll bring live the opening session of the cabinet meeting here at the grounds of the Executive Mansion. But also you can have a pleasant view of the environment of the Executive Mansion. As you can see, this is one of the most historic structures in Africa, in Liberia precisely also. And so we are here at the back of the Executive Mansion. Most people think the portion of the mansion that faces the main road is the back of the mansion, but no, that is the actual front of the Executive Mansion. So where we are is the back of the Executive Mansion, or you can call this portion the garden of the Executive Mansion. This place has been well taken care of. You can see how very clean the garden is here at the back, and then the Atlantic Ocean is just right behind the Executive Mansion. So you can see the gardeners in the back there doing their job, keeping the Executive Mansion clean. And then this building that is right ahead of us here, where usually the president holds his cabinet meetings, is called the tea house of the Executive Mansion. So this is the tea house of the Executive Mansion right here in front of us. And so for those of you who are just joining us, just to remind you that we are here at the tea house of the Executive Mansion to bring you live coverage of a cabinet meeting that His Excellency President Boakai is convening this morning with members of his cabinet. Key discussions are set to be brought on the table. We have been told this is an economic meeting. Development. My name is Anthony Williams, and I just thought to do this build up to this particular meeting, and we can rejoin you shortly. So folks, that will do it. We'd like to say thanks for watching. For those of you who have been following this brief build up, this is just a build up to the actual cabinet meeting itself. We will do the official opening program, and then we'll rejoin you shortly. My name is Anthony Williams, and bye bye for now. Thanks for watching.
You are welcome to the media. Today, His Excellency President Boakai is convening another high-level cabinet meeting. It is high-level because we have already seen scores of government officials and top government officials here, including you as well. What do we expect this time? What should we expect from the president and, of course, his cabinet members like you?
So today's cabinet meeting is focused. Oh, you want me to hold this?
Yeah, please. Yeah.
All right. I thought you were sticking somewhere.
Okay, just go ahead. Yes.
It's focused on economic issues. So the Ministry of Finance, the Central Bank, the Liberia Revenue Authority, advisors on the economy, those are the individuals who are going to be making a special presentation on the nation's economy. We consider that to be very important because we're making progress, we're building roads, we're expanding electricity, we're doing all the other things. And we believe that these things should go side by side with the economic issue, which many consider as the bread and butter. You know, a lot of people talk about, oh, you're doing well, but bread and butter. So we just wanted to know from all the actors in the sector of the economy what we need to know.
Please keep your phones outside.
So folks, welcome to LNTV. We're coming live to you from the tea house of the Executive Mansion, and we're seeing the arrival of President Boakai. He's making his way in here in the tea house of the Executive Mansion for the this special cabinet meeting. And so any moment from now, the President will make his way in here into the tea house of the Executive Mansion.
So the Vice President is also seated as well. Finance Minister, Foreign Minister, Youth Minister,
There you have the President there arriving. He probably just want to grab her. So he's making his way now to see the members of the cabinet will now applaud President Boakai upon arriving here. The President has greeted members of his cabinet. A moment of silence for the fallen Minister of State.
Good morning, Mr. President. Welcome. Good morning, Mr. Vice President. And welcome. Good morning, cabinet members and officials of government here this morning. And welcome to this all-important cabinet meeting. It is a special cabinet meeting on the economy. And as you can see from the theme of today's meeting, the emphasis is how we can develop in terms of improving the economy that will have material impact on the livelihoods of ordinary Liberians. So for this session, we'll do a strategic briefing on economic, fiscal, and governance priorities with respect to how we want to move forward to the economy. As you can see, the agenda is quite crowded because we think we should address all those issues that pertains to how we improve the economy beyond where it is. Maybe I should run through the agenda quickly with the President of your permission and give a brief synopsis of the issues that we're talking about. As you can see from the agenda, we have conversation on inflation trends and exchange rate volatility. Will be an overview of CPI movement, monetary policy response to exchange rate dynamics. Then there will also be conversation around the real sector development, a snapshot of performance across agriculture, forestry, mining, manufacturing, and services. We will also discuss public debt portfolio review by looking at debt sustainability outlook, domestic versus external debt composition. Then there is this question of domestic trade and price monitoring. How do we enforce regulation, price control, and market discussion? This is very important as far as the livelihoods of people are concerned. Then, also, we'll be talking about petroleum supply and pricing stability. You know, fuel prices affect almost everything when it comes to livelihood. So we look at our stock status, supply chain challenges, and subsidy implications. Of course, there is one on operation and modernization. The update on modernization plans across Freeport, Canada, Radio, and Harbor. Then we have the fiscal operations. The review of our fiscal health tax policy and budget execution. We'll be looking at budget execution status, a mid-year review and expenditure performance, and final assessment by the MFP. Then we'll look at tax policy implementation and 2024 measures. We'll be done both by the Ministry of Finance and the LRA. By looking at issues like GST performance, compliance status, SOB remittances, and investment incentives, as well as real estate taxes. Then the next broad topic is strategic planning. How do we discuss looking forward and planning? How do we formulate our budget and carry out implementation track? Under this general and broad topic, we'll be talking about the fiscal 2026 budget calendar and sectoral planning. Will be led by the MFP, the timelines coordination with line ministries. And then critical to this conversation will be how we implement the AAID for the rest of this year and also 2026 timeline. What our flagship program status in alignment with national priorities. And we're also talking about project-based budgeting status. By the MFP, challenges and opportunities in transitioning to PPP. That is the project-based budgeting program. Then finally, we should have emerging issues. Issues that have been emerging over the year. And this will highlight urgent revenue mobilization and challenges with fiscal implications. Number one, under this broad topic will be domestic revenue mobilization constraints, mining revenue governance, real estate oversight, beneficial ownership strategy. We'll also look at the rubber sector export moratorium, the economic and fiscal implications for jobs, income, and exports. We'll also look at export proceeds repatriation. This is very important. How do we ensure foreign exchange returns to the economy and the BOP impact? There will also be fuel levy, revenue leakage, the conversation on how we can reform this area to strengthen the legal instruments, ensure transparency, and transition to second generation road fund governance. There will also be a presentation by the NIC looking at ongoing negotiations when it comes to investing projects. We also have a presentation by economic advisors within the presidency. So, Mr. President, this is our agenda, but it's also for good reason. You've indicated over and over that the purpose for which we govern is to improve the livelihoods of the Liberian people. Statistics don't matter if they don't impact on the material conditions of the people of Liberia, which is why we are here. And therefore, we ask our colleagues here to be frank, open, and honest in this conversation. At the end of the day, we expect critical actions to be undertaken and followed up. So I've also instructed my team to pay particular attention to the decisions that we make and the actions that are required to carry out those decisions. With that, Mr. President, in terms of the cabinet, I think the meeting of what you said.
cabinet leaders. And I want to thank you for your presence. Please, we have an agenda here. We want to call this cabinet meeting to order. We are prepared.
Father, we pray as we gather to discuss the economy and to discuss the impact on the Liberian people. You will give us wisdom, you will give us knowledge and understanding to take a direction that will be most impactful. Bless the deliberations in Jesus' name.
Let me by thanking all of you who have been paying visit me, as much as I know that as we are all colleagues, the laws of Mr. Birchwood is laws for everybody. At least everybody has interacted with him. So as family is a big loss to all of us. I want to thank you for those of you who came to visit. This morning we have an agenda here. It is usual, but I think I will open the agenda for adoption, just in case anybody has any addition or anything. So it's before you. Entertain a motion for adopting. Yes. Even though you're not real cabinet, but I need a prayer. Move and second one. I'm sure you're ready to vote. All in favor? Against? Okay, we use it as a working document. I want to thank Amos for being so great. Now let me just start by saying thank you to all of you for all the contributions you have made so far, taking over our country in a more difficult condition. We want to be able to meet maybe at a cabinet, not for very, very long, but at least to be able to keep right before us some of the very important issues that we know how to do. We know that there's a lot of lack of follow-up in cabinet meeting when we discuss issues. We normally don't follow up. Maybe for some of us, we need to do reminders. That's what I do. I like to write because as humans, we don't remember everything every time, but we just learn to take little notes to remind yourself. For me, even who I want to call for today, and so what I want to say. Because the issues will be with, they occur daily, and if we don't do that, the follow-up and the decision making can be long, and we could miss opportunities. For example, we had heads of institutions to submit policy proposals, and some of it has all not been done. So we hope that some of these things can be followed up, and sometimes somebody has to go to remind you, and some to come to cabinet without them. We also sometimes don't expect everybody to be at functions. We want to see cabinet ministers there because you represent this part of our part of the government, which is another branch of government. Quarterly reports are not usually submitted on time. We have to take note of that to be able to make cabinet effective. All of us sitting around here are aware of where we took this country from. Very, very difficult. You're not able to convince everybody because they see things happening. I don't think that should be the problem to convince everybody. I just know that the contributions you're making here, the sacrifices, people see the glamour of things, they don't see the sacrifice. I don't think, left with me alone, I wouldn't even like to travel out of the country. But you do that because you want to serve your country. And those who sit outside there, who don't want to come, they criticize you, but that shouldn't bother you. Serve your country because this is the country that you own, that you want to make good. But there are critical things that we need to look into. Some of the development aspect in agriculture, the forestry, the mining, the manufacturing area that we haven't paid attention to, the public debt portfolio that we need to talk about. Some of these issues are very critical. But I want to also think about what we do as a cabinet in terms of the attention we pay to the small things. For me, I'm a person of details. Even when I'm driving on the road, I look at the potholes. Those potholes can become either dangerous, but they spread in the moment you look, the road is gone. Maybe even people that probably should pay attention. Maybe do we have a special group of people that will take care of those potholes just for that? The sidewalk, like the last time I was in Lubanga. Now this time around, looking at it, they started doing something. I don't think we should sit on those things there just because if you don't do them, they create problems. You're driving along the roadside, the sand eat into the road. You don't have the money. Maintenance is one of our problems. We hope that we can begin to pay attention to some of these things. They say it's teaching time, say 10. Sometimes we don't teach in time, but then I talk about people who take over, whether public corporations or ministries. They forget that it's not just managing the budget and doing, but we have a lot of assets that have been taken away. Real estate, people take them away. What do you do with development? When you take over a ministry, you take over everything. You take over an agency, you take over everything. You think only public corporations when you take them over. But once you take over a ministry, you should try to know what are your assets, your liabilities, You go to Hotel Africa now, all of this shit now. Many of our properties are taken. And some of the ministries now, you want to relocate people. The days in which where people used to rent from family members or friends are gone. We want to be able to own real estate for government. And how do you do that? We want to build. I hear the Director General, the GSMN talking about they're building additional ministries right by the ministerial complex, which is a reasonable idea because they're not just paying rent, but offices that are rented sometimes are not appropriate as office buildings. And when you build one of your own, you know what to do with it. And we hope that we can begin to look into those kind of things. But again, I want to emphasize the idea of maybe just travel and travel and travel. We cannot always be traveling, especially so budgetary constraint. And some of these travels where some people less than the minister can travel, but then sometimes you should give a chance for everybody to be able to have the experience of traveling. Not just for travel's sake, but to make sure the ministers remain on the ground to take care of some very important issues. We also have the issue of some of these corporate entities, the corporations, they do not pay up their obligation to vendors. If the small businesses are not performing because you are liable to them, you kill them. We live in a country where every business is in the hand of foreigners. And this is something I want to talk about, where we should begin to pay attention to local entrepreneurs, patronizing them. Some of them can be very reasonable because sometimes they charge high, but we have to encourage them because they represent us. I am saying that maybe by next year, we want to make sure that everything that has to do with wooden furniture and things like that, we should get them locally. We have to begin to help entrepreneurs. I even saw somebody who is working on chairs for schools, and I was asking him today how long will it take to make how many. From the time we know ourselves, every business here is in the hand of foreigners. I don't see where you say the country is mine, but the houses, good houses are for foreigners, good cars are for foreigners, everything. I think we should begin to pay attention to maybe add up with the governor and the Minister of Finance, where we have to encourage local businesses to thrive. The hotels, to patronize them. If they are now standard, maybe we could look for a way to improve their standard and patronize them. At the end of the day, those are the businesses that you own. The other one, the first shot down, they're gone. So we hope that we will begin to look into them. It's a very special way. We took over the economy in the mess, and I want to thank those of you who are in management for helping us to improve. Whether you criticize or not, just know that for us, we appreciate what you're doing, and we want to encourage you to do so. Some of those who will criticize us because they want attention, but to serve this country. We are talking about going in other directions, like we can show that real estate is paid attention to. In this country, a lot of real estate people are afraid to declare the real value of their property because they think for tax reasons. But if they were using them for collateral, they would try them correctly. You see, that's the thing about it. You're afraid to tell the real cause of your house because of tax, but if you are using it to take a loan, you want it behind. But we have to encourage people in a way that they'll be able to be honest with their real estate, and at the same time they use them as collaterals for loans. We can't always depend on external financing because we're already looking at how the world is going. We have to continue to look for ways to improve our own economy. So we hope that these meetings, as regular as they may be, they will be very strategic and discussing things that will move our economy from. I like to see some way in which we can be updated as to the progress that we're making, and because it helps us also that we are not making progress. I think the governor would tell you a few days ago, I think they are looking for way in which they can predict the foreign exchange, how the foreign exchange can fluctuate. Maybe something we didn't think about. I'm sure you'll be talking about that. And maybe the people from LPRC will tell you about some of the goodwill that is coming to the country. The business people might take it differently, but we are happy because if these corporate entities begin to do good business, they help the economy as well. On the overall, I just want to say thanks to those of you who are in the strategic places and management, and those, even those that are in areas where they're critical, especially when I went to Limbalit a few days ago to dedicate the new facility for the soldiers, decongesting the barrel by about 600, how much? And I like the way the Army does it. The moment we went to dedicate the building, the next day they moved. And they moved to show that they were waiting for the building. That reflects on the kind of cooperation they've been receiving from the Finance Ministry and other agencies. I just want to show appreciation for what most of us are trying to do. And we have to continue the good work because that's what we're here to do. So, I want to welcome you to the meeting. A lot of issues to deal with. Perhaps if we can exhaust all of them one time, we can schedule them, but the most important things we should deal with today is a DG. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Progess. And with that, I will kindly ask the press to excuse us. Thank you so much. I will now turn it over to the Minister of Finance.
Thank you.
So folks, excuse me sir. Folks, You just witnessed the introduction of the cabinet meeting there. His Excellency President Boakai making a statement, speaking to members of his cabinet. Several key issues he spoke about. We will run you through quickly before we go. But that was the opening of the high-level cabinet meeting with members of his cabinet here at the tea house of the executive mansion. So they've asked members of the press to come out. So we will just do a little summary of the discussions that were held right outside here while we were already here in the garden of the executive mansion. So several key issues were spoken about. You listened to His Excellency the President. He spoke about several key issues in the cabinet meeting there with members of his cabinet. So while we go through some of these discussions quickly, Mr. President also made mention about local lasting Liberian businesses. He spoke about local entrepreneurs, government to give priority to local entrepreneurs. In one of his statements, he said he's hoping that in the next 2 years, the Liberia can be able to purchase local furnitures or furnitures locally right here in country. Speaking about like government ministries and agencies can be able to purchase or make furnitures locally right here in country. The president also spoke about government infrastructure. He mentioned the famous Hotel Africa, but also speaking about government ministries and agencies renting properties for use by government. He made it clear that some of these rented properties are not tailored to serving a government's purpose or being convenient for the use of office spaces. So there's a need for government itself to expand to avoid spending more money on renting properties. He made mention of the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf Ministerial Complex with another idea of government wanting to expand, probably build additional structures somewhere around the ministerial complex or elsewhere. And also President Boakai lastly spoke about the exchange rate, and also he's hoping to hear from the central bank governor and the Ministry of Finance and all those in the monetary area to put the discussions forth as to how the government of Liberia can tackle the issue of the fluctuation of the exchange rate. So several key issues will be discussed in there, and we expect to hear from the Minister of Information and also probably some of those ministers who are in there to talk to us about some of the discussions that will be held at the end of the cabinet meeting. But you did listen to His Excellency President Boakai there speaking on some of these key national issues. He spoke about road connectivity, he spoke about the agriculture sector, spoke about entrepreneurship, spoke about the economy, of course, speaking about the exchange rate, and also encouraging entrepreneurship, encouraging local businesses. And also one key thing that President Boakai also stressed is reminding government officials of living up to their obligations. He made mention of him as the president having reminders on his phone. So he's also encouraging government ministers to stick to their plans and live up to the commitments that they've made to bring effectiveness to government. President Boakai also spoke about maintaining government infrastructure. When I say maintaining government infrastructure, he made a specific reference to potholes on the roads. He's encouraging the Ministry of Public Works to pay attention to roads that have got potholes on them. In his words, we can't wait until those potholes get enlarged before we start working on them. And so he's asking if the Ministry of Public Works has a special maintenance team that should be responsible to look after situations like this, maintaining roads and specifically roads with potholes, to have them closed to ensure that they don't get worse. So the president spoke about several issues, and we are hoping that at the end of this meeting he might speak to members of the press and then give a summary of some of the discussions that he and members of his cabinet will have here at the tea house of the executive mansion. My name is Anthony Williams, and I'll be here all day until the cabinet meeting ends, and we will talk to the Minister of Information hopefully, and also we are hoping if we can hear from His Excellency the President himself. Thanks for joining us. Stick and stay with us. We'll rejoin you. My name is Anthony Williams. Bye bye for now.